I love my husband more than my kids. I've carried that guilt for 22 years, ever since our daughters were born. After the youngest arrived, I sat in our therapist's office at 3 weeks postpartum, convinced I was fundamentally broken inside. She looked at me across her desk and said, "As long as you never tell them, it won't hurt anyone." So I buried it deep in my chest and never spoke those words again. I threw myself into being the perfect mom. Every school play where I sat in the front row, every midnight fever where I stayed up checking temperatures, every breakup where I held them while they cried, every college application we filled out together at the kitchen table. I was there for absolutely all of it. But when they finally fell asleep, I'd walk downstairs and find my husband reading in his worn leather chair by the lamp, and my chest would get tight with this overwhelming feeling I never once felt with the kids, like my heart was going to burst just from looking at him. We built our entire lives around those girls. Family dinners every Sunday at 6 p.m. sharp, annual camping trips where we'd sleep in that tiny tent and wake up sore, dance recitals where he'd film every second on his camera. But at night, after tucking them in, we'd sit on the back porch with cheap wine and just exist together in silence. And that silence felt more like home than anything else in my life. Last month, our youngest finally moved out, got her own apartment across town with 2 roommates. The house felt enormous and quiet and wrong. That first night alone, my best friend came over with 2 bottles of wine. We sat in the kitchen where I'd made thousands of lunches, and she asked how I was handling the empty nest. I'd had 3 glasses by then. My guard was completely down. I broke down and finally said it out loud. Told her everything. How I loved my husband more than my own children. How I always had since the day they were born. How I felt like a fraud for 22 years straight. Her face went completely white. She set down her glass so hard it cracked against the counter. She called me a monster. Said I should have never had children if I couldn't love them the way a mother is supposed to. Said my daughters deserved so much better than a mother who was just pretending to care. Then she grabbed her purse and left without another word. The door slammed so hard the pictures shook. I spent 3 days crying in our bedroom. My husband held me while I sobbed, but even he couldn't make the shame go away. I was convinced she was absolutely right, that I failed at the most basic thing a mother should do. Then my oldest called on a Thursday afternoon. Said she'd been talking to her sister and they wanted to meet for dinner that weekend. Just the 3 of us. No dad allowed. My stomach dropped through the floor. Somehow they knew. My friend must have told them everything. I could barely eat for 2 days. Practiced what I'd say in the mirror. How I'd apologize. How I'd explain that I tried my best even if it wasn't enough. Saturday came. We sat down at this Italian place we used to go to for their birthdays. The same red leather booths, the same breadsticks they'd fight over as kids. My oldest pulled out her phone before we even ordered. On the screen was a text thread from my friend. She'd sent them everything I'd confessed that night. Every single word. Every horrible truth. I started to apologize, but my youngest cut me off. "Mom, we already knew." I froze. My fork clattered against the plate. "What?" My oldest leaned forward. "You think we didn't notice? We used to joke about it when we were teenagers. The way you'd light up when Dad walked in the room. How you'd touch his shoulder when you passed him in the kitchen. How you'd laugh at his terrible jokes that nobody else found funny." My youngest smiled. "We called you guys disgusting, but in a good way." I couldn't speak. Tears were running down my face and I couldn't make them stop. "You gave us everything, Mom. You never missed a single thing that mattered to us. But you and Dad, you showed us what a real marriage looks like. What it means to choose someone every single day for 25 years. My oldest reached across the table and grabbed my hand. "That's the greatest gift you ever gave us. We both want what you and Dad have. That's the example you set." Then they both got up and hugged me right there in the middle of the restaurant while other people stared. I called my friend the next day, told her she was wrong. Loving my husband more didn't make me a bad mother. It made me a good wife, and my daughters turned out just fine.